So I'm preparing this pre-recorded session since the public holiday today. So I hope you have time to digest and familiarize yourself with this lesson, where we continue the digital marketing environment. So we continue with that on this lesson. If you remember very well, in the previous series, we looked at the micro digital environment. That's what we looked at. And on the micro digital environment, we focused on customers, we focused on competitors, we focused on intermediaries, we also focused on the suppliers. So we are done with the macro environmental analysis. Now we are going to be looking at the macro environment, where we are going to apply the pastel analysis, the pastel approach. But just to begin with you this series, I just want to do a recap. So previously, we had a revision on chapter 2. Unfortunately, the recordings were not properly saved, since Microsoft had some problems last week on Thursday. So I highly encourage you to revisit everything that you've done. In the textbook and in your lecture notes, you'll find all the necessary information on Core Campus. So I highly encourage you to go and revisit everything that we have done as you prepare your F1 assignment. So today we are going to look at the digital macro environment, and our focus is going to be on the pastel analysis. So we are going to be discussing the pastel analysis a lot. And I know that there is a question in the F1 assignment where you are asked to explain or to discuss the macro environmental factors that affect the digital marketing environment. So at the end of this session, you need to be able to identify how the macro environment affects a brand's digital marketing strategy, planning, implementation, and performance. You need to be able to consider the legal, moral, and ethical constraints that affect digital marketing. You need to identify the aspects of each of the macro environmental forces that are particularly relevant to digital marketing, and you must be able to understand the significance of social media in the macro environment. So these are the things that you are going to be discussing throughout this lesson. And you realize that these environmental factors, they do not only affect brands, they also affect us as individuals. In everything that you do, you need to be considerate of the environment, need to be considerate of your surroundings, the environment where your existence is placed in. How do I conduct myself when communicating with others in the family, when communicating with others in the social media platforms, be it at work? How do I conduct myself? What social, what political, what economic, what technological, what environmental factors affect my identity and my existence? So it is the same question that organizations ask themselves whenever they are coming up with strategies, particularly digital marketing strategy. Remember, the macro environment is not only for digital marketing. There are also other fields that you can use the pastel approach to discuss them. So these are the terms that you come across as we unpack the session, as we proceed with the session. You come across macro environment, you come across strategic agility, you come across environmental scanning, situation analysis, and online marketplace. And most of these words we've already discussed them. So they shouldn't appear as if they are strange words. Okay. But before I dig deeper into the macro environment, I'd like you to have I'd like to just have some thought-provoking questions here so that as you go through this lesson together, you just need to ask yourself, what are the aspects of the macro environment? So whenever we are talking about the macro environment, what are the aspects of those? Remember, you shouldn't be confused with the micro environment. So if someone asks you, what are the aspects of the micro environment? You mentioned those that we have already unpacked in the previous lessons, which are customers, intermediaries, suppliers, competitors, publishers. So those are the aspects of micro environment. Now, when I'm asking about the aspects of the macro environment, you then need to think about the pestle analysis, okay? Then how do these influence digital marketing strategy? So this brings us to the relevance of what we are discussing in this lesson. Why does it matter digital marketing? As I mentioned earlier, that the pestle approach is not only for digital marketing. So why is it relevant? Why do digital marketing practitioners, especially strategists, have to consider the environment? So I'm not going to answer this question. It's up to you on how you assess the surroundings where you live in. You can tell us how the aspects of the macro environment influence digital marketing strategy. But you see, as we dig deeper into this session, you actually see how these influence digital marketing strategy. But I would also like to hear from you. We have got discussion forums available on Core Campus. We've got discussion forums available on WhatsApp. So I'll be very delighted to hear your thoughts on this, since this is a pre-recorded uh, session. So to answer some of the questions that I asked in the previous, macro environment forces can influence digital marketing. How? Remember, when you look at the definition of digital marketing is the promotion of a brand and its product on digital platforms. So the way you promote that business, be it in your content creation, be it in the way you engage with the audience, there are so many aspects to consider. You need to consider the social aspects. How do you engage with your customers? Because these customers, they come from societies. There is the way they are engaged with others in societies, the social protocols, the culture surrounding people. Those do matter when you are engaging, when you are promoting the brand and these products on digital platforms. For example, if you say something when you're engaging with a certain audience and you say something that may be offensive to their culture or to their social life, this can surely affect your brand awareness. So that matters. Then you also need to understand the legal aspects when you are promoting a brand. Things like Copy Act. How do you handle data? How do you manage sensitive information? What about the language that you are using? Is it racist language that can cause divisions in society? Is it harmful language? So those are all the things that you need to consider when You are coming up with digital marketing strategies and campaigns that will be managing in the online world. And you also need to understand technology, because technology can amplify, technology can actually help you deliver the marketing message that you are pushing on digital platforms. So there are technological aspects that you need to consider. You also need to consider what is happening in terms of the economy. You need to consider the standard of life of your target audience. You need to consider the cost of living. You need to consider affordability, the devices that people use to engage with you. So there are economic aspects that you need to consider there. You also need to consider the environmental aspects, such as green business. Nowadays, many companies are talking about doing green business, sustainable businesses, saving the planet. So these aspects are actually relevant when it comes to digital marketing. And these are the forces that affect the trading environment, but over which brands operations have limited direct influence. Think about COVID-19. It affected lots of businesses, and businesses did not have direct control over COVID-19, but they had to come up with strategies to navigate this pandemic that has just appeared from nowhere. Think about the wars that are happening in Ukraine and Gaza. Most companies, especially SMEs, they do not have any direct influence on those factors, but they need to navigate in order to be successful as businesses. Therefore, we explore the macro environment forces, focusing on the potential relevance of each to digital marketing strategy. So normally, the macro environmental factors consist of the PERSOL approach, where P stands for something, E stands for something, S stands for something, T stands for something, L stands for something, and E stands for something. So we have got P for political factors, E for economic factors, S for social factors, T for technological factors, L for legal factors, and E for environmental factors. However, it depends with the context in which you are describing these factors. Sometimes in some of the examinations or in some of the assessments, it doesn't come as a personal factor. Political factors can be also regarded as governmental factors. Economic factors can also be regarded as market conditions factors, like how are the markets doing. Social factors can be regarded as cultural factors. Technological factors can be regarded as innovation factors. Legal factors can be regarded as regulatory factors or governmental factors. Environmental factors can be regarded as geographic factors or physical factors. So you need to be very careful, because it does not only come in personal factors. Now let's look at the rate of environmental change. You would realize that time is constantly changing, and the societies in which we live in are very dynamic. Something that used to happen 5 years ago, it's no longer happening, or something else came. The world is not the same as it was 10 years ago. We're living in the world of Mixit. We're living in the world of BBM. We're living in the world of poking on Facebook. Now we are living in the world of TikToking. We are living in the world of mentions. We are living in the world of tags. We are living in the world of hashtags. Me too, hashtag #FreeMas4. So we cannot ignore the rate of environmental change, because it affects the way we conduct business. It affects the way we promote. the brand and the way we promote the products. So in the digital world, changes in social culture and particularly pop culture tend to be very rapid. You can actually see even in terms of the terminologies, the slang, they go with time. For example, mjolo. Umjolo, it wasn't something that was trending 5 to 10 years ago, even though people were dating, even though people were affected by love and heartbreaks. But the term umjolo, it's widely used nowadays, especially during or after COVID-19, when Jolo was now being referred to the pandemic, Mjolo the pandemic. Okay? And all of a sudden you hear slang terms like Mjolo Yanisa, Bazokheda, So those are the things that are shaping societies now. And organizations that actually are considerate and are well aware of the terminologies that are being used now, they can always connect with their customers at an emotional level. So you need to understand how people greet each other, the things that people are doing in societies before you engage with them, because you want to connect with them at an emotional, at a deeper level. You need to understand the things that are trending in terms of people's attire. What is it that people are wearing? Where are they hanging out nowadays? Where are they investing their monies? Because that changes with time. And introduction of new technologies and changes in their popularity tend to occur more frequently and with increasing speed from concept to commercialization. So realize that the pace at which technology is moving is very fast, to an extent that us as digital marketers, sometimes we struggle to keep up with technologies. And all of a sudden, everything is now being commercialized. Think about Facebook. Think about all these social media platforms, your WhatsApp. At first, they were just social platforms, okay? They were digital social platforms, but all of a sudden, they're also becoming commercial platforms. So they're being commercialized. You have to watch adverts. We are being bombarded with commercial stuff. So businesses have to be aware of that. Digital marketers need to be alert to the forces that are important in the context of their own trading environment, so they can aim to ensure the competitiveness of the business. So, of course, you cannot follow everything that is happening out there. You need to understand the factors that would shape your business strategy, your digital marketing strategy. Because some factors cannot be relevant to you. Some factors can be relevant to you. So you need to be able to understand your own context, to understand the things that can make value to you by considering the microenvironment as well. For example, customers. Customers are part of the microenvironment. However, when you are looking at the macroenvironment, customers will feature in the social forces, because the social forces is one that affects our people and in their culture where they live in. So in chapter 2, we reviewed the influences on the microenvironment which shape the online marketplace or trading environment. In this chapter, we are going to review how broader macroeconomic forces can influence digital marketing. In the marketing arena, there are widely used mnemonics which aim to act as an aid memo to the macroenvironmental forces. Some would use pest, some would use slept, some would use pestle, where each letter represents a slightly different arrangement of the following macro forces. So as I discussed in the previous slides, there's political, there's economic, there's social, there's technological, there's legal, there's environmental forces. But as I said, it depends with the environment. Otherwise, these can also come in other form. The forms that are discussed in the previous. For example, instead of political forces, you can come across a question that asks for governmental forces. Okay. instead of social forces, you can come across a question that asks for cultural forces. So you need to be able to know what you are talking about. So for digital marketer, the most important task is carry out a thorough assessment of the forces that are shaping the online market environment and identify which forces have implications of your own marketing planning and strategic initiatives. So you need to know the things that could affect either the formulation or the development of your digital marketing strategy, as well as the management of the current campaigns. How do we engage with people? How do we remain compliant? Because there are some laws or regulations that you have to be compliant. How do we consider the economy? What kind of technologies are we using? So those are things that you need to ask yourself when you are doing a macro analysis. So if there are any questions, if there are any comments, please let me know when we meet, or otherwise you can also engage on co-campus discussion forum. So with everything that we've discussed now, we are going to have a case study analysis where we are going to apply the entire pastel factors on mobile and SMS applications. Like, what is it to consider if you are to develop a mobile app as a brand, or if you are to push out marketing informations out there using SMSs. So that's what we are going to discuss in the next question, in the next lesson, in lesson 26. Okay, thank you. So let's move on to lesson 26 and see what lesson 26 has for us.